So my name is Abir Al Jamal. I'm a social worker and I work as a research manager at the Muslim Resource Center for Social Support and Integration in Canada. The Muslim Resource Center for Social Support and Integration, we are located in London, Ontario, Canada. And we are a non-for-profit anti-violence organization. Our name is the Muslim Resource Center, but we are not a religious organization. We are social service organization. So mainly we provide services for families who are at risk of family violence or experiencing violence. Family violence include a comprehensive definition from our perspective. So it is also include intimate partner violence, gender-based violence, domestic violence, elder abuse, sibling abuse, child abuse and neglect, and what's called honor violence and all other violence against women and children. Our services is on a continuum. So we start from prevention, public education. We have intervention, clinical work plus programs, and we have a research department. So mainly our research will inform our practice and our practice will inform the research that we need to look at. Our model is very innovative and it is called a culturally integrative family safety response. It was developed by Dr. Mohammed Bouabaid, who has started his work in 2000, and in 2006 he noticed that many immigrant families does not seek help when they are experiencing violence. And he asked families, he asked women, he asked men, and it was the lack of culturally informed practices and the services does not accommodate their needs. So he developed a culturally integrated family safety response that has its risk assessment, it has its tools, and it has a coordinated services. So we focus on the culture as the core of the intervention. And our context in this case is collective culture, mainly immigrants and refugees. And also immigrants for us is all newcomers and non-newcomers who come from across the globe and settle in Canada as their permanent country. So we look at the culture and then we recognize the intersectional factors such as migration, the impact of migration, and not only the journey. It is the during the journey and the post-migration, how it impacts people, how it impacts violence, what trigger is there. As well, we look at the religion, faith, spirituality, and how people make sense of their lived experience. Does it dictate by faith, religion, spirituality, or culture, or migration? Also, we look at oppression experiences, like how immigrants are experience oppression, what kind of oppression and hate is they are facing. And also we look at the social determinant of health and its impact, the lack of social determinant of health. So this is our work. And the organization mainly serve immigrants, as I said, and their established communities. So the immigrant, as I said, it's all under the Canada immigration classes, and the majority of our service users are Muslims, but we work with non-Muslims as long as they are coming from collectivist culture and collectivist families. Because sometimes we refer clients, fathers, to caring dads, right? So when they come to us and talk to us, they always say some aspects, what they are talking to us, it's not us. Like, for example, how to be the good dad, how's the perfect dad, what that deal breaker, right? So all these things, they said, it does not work with us. Our culture is not within that definition of dads, right? So we worked on that. It's still how's to be a good father, right? What's a deal breaker, but in another context. So we defined what's fathering for them, how they were fathered in the pre-migration, were they prepared to be fathers, right? And after that, how is their preparation of being fathers or not suited the new context? Because fathering may be back home and back home is country of origin. I mean, it's totally different from being a father in England, being a father in Canada, being a father in Australia. So different contexts, different ways of fathering. Even family system, family dynamic. When you look at individualistic culture, the family dynamic, family structure is totally different from a collective context. So, and all these things interplay. So we wanted to make it in a way that fathers, when they sit and be in the group, when we speak to them, they say, oh, that program is for me, right? Because you are bringing them to listen to them, create a safe space for them to share, but also a brave space so you can challenge the abusive attitudes, behaviors, patriarchal, or misuse of cultural values and religion. And it is across religion, like, because sometimes we have non-Muslim fathers and Muslim fathers, so the misuse can interplay and it's very obvious in some instances. So in this way, they became more engaged, they became more committed, they became more even validated, that they are supported, they are heard, but at the same time, they are challenged within their same cultural language, same cultural values, that no, that's not culture, no, that's not religion, that's abuse. And even they learn about abuse because in many instances, they were abused themselves, or they may been disciplined themselves. So this is what they know. Or maybe they were raised in oppressive countries where there's violence from top to bottom. So this is the way they live. This is the way how they interacted. So how you make them feel that they are accountable. Abuse is a choice. It is not, oh, I'm traumatized, I can abuse. Nope. The abuse of children and women is a choice. However, we hold them responsible more than accountable. Accountability is important, but within the responsibility that you are responsible for your action, you're responsible for the safety of your children, you're responsible for the safety of your partner. That's a huge. And how safety interplay? What does that mean, safety? Because sometimes safety in the individualistic context or European context is remove women, remove children, that's safety. Why? This is not safety, because when the man is isolated, that's when literature say it is the most escalation of risk, and women and children at heightened risk. So we try to make always men feel supported. They are addressing their issues, they are addressing their attitudes and behavior, and all these things, traumatized, we address mental health, we address all things, but yet you are not accepted to lead this abusive behavior. We have a lot of collaboration together. And in this way, we looked at many of our families, like I would say families, the families that we serve are the immigrant families. So we have been looking at many of the caring dads who are immigrants were always saying that there is some aspects that does not speak to them. It's not them. So, and looking at that, Tim Kelly, Katrina Scott, Dr. Katrina Scott, and Dr. Mohammed Boubaid came together and looked at how they can work in caring dad to be culturally adaptive, so it fit the work across cultures. Because caring dad is universal and it is based in Eurocentric perspective. So we felt that it is there is a vital need for the cultural adaptation and to increase the effectiveness of the caring dads when immigrant fathers who uphold collectivist background participate in this program. So the work has been focused on some major and unique factors that impact the lived experiences of immigrant population, which is also that resonate with our model of practice, which is culture, faith, migration, experiences of oppression, and the practices. So those are the four aspects that we look, but those also take into consideration the social determinant of health and other factors that interplay and intersect into the migration context to impact people. So the culturally adaptive is mainly for Arab fathers in diaspora. We acknowledge the importance of understanding and incorporating the cultural background of these families and fathers. So when the caring dad work with them and this program is delivered, it's more powerful and more adjusted to their needs, even like for risk factors and abuse. It's across the globe, but how it interplay in different culture, different contexts, people understand it in a different way. So in this way, the cultural adaptation was focused on that culture, the collectivist culture. So it has the same concepts, principles, goals of caring dad and focusing on abusive men. However, we expanded that because we didn't want always to intervene when critical incidents happen and mandated fathers are referred to caring dad. So we worked into expanded the inclusion criteria to focus also on fathers who are at risk of abusing their children. There is conflict, there is signs of abuse, but it did not escalate to critical. So we invite those fathers as well, and we screen them. And when we see risk factors, symptoms of abuse, they are invited to join the program. So we call this two streams, the mandated fathers and the early identification. Then we looked at the power of language because it is delivered for Arab fathers. So we need to look at the language because the language, even when it interplay across culture, it loses some of its meaning and concepts. So we needed also to maintain that. So we looked at the cultural adaptation within the culture and migration context into English. We finished that, we finalized the work, and then it was translated into Arabic. And after the translation, our team of 5 came together, sat and read every chapter and looked and edited in a way that is the content is not lost. The translation is not literary translation, because with just translating literal translation, you lose the meaning. So we adjusted and adapted to maintain its significance. I will have a simple, small definition of a collectivist culture because this is a huge topic and we can work in it in a very elaborative way. So collectivist culture are people who interact and work independently. So they interact with each other. The family is a very vital and their commitment to the family. It's not only the nuclear family, but also the extended family. And in many instances, it's the tribe, if people come from tribal places. And it is also the neighborhood, the community, all this. And they go into more of interdependency and the rights and the well-being of the family in many instances overrule the individual well-being and rights. So this is, and there is a lot of ascribed gender roles within a collectivist family. And there is also, in many instances, there is classes, there is a lot of intersectionality, there is the culture values, interplay with religion, across religion, the three not only 3, but all the religions from the Eastern, they intersect. In many instances, culture wins in some instances, religion wins. So it depends on how it impact and guide. For example, some families, the culture is so ingrained and so rigid, so it dictates every aspect of their life, even the daily living, how they interact with each other, how they act in different social circumstances, different social circles. And while individualistic culture is more focused on independency, the individual right, the individual well-being, but those do not exist in separation. There is always, in collectivist culture, there is always a fluidity of individual and some traits of individualistic culture, while in individualistic cultures, there is some traits of collectivism. So it depends. But the risk comes when individualistic or collectivist go to extreme. And that's then how it. And also we need to look how patriarchy interplay. Where is that? Even the socio-economic political realms that those culture lives and interplay also has different factors and different impact on their lived experience. So this is a very small touch of what's collectivist, what's individualistic. And the individualistic services, it's mainly all Eurocentric intervention, whereas the intervention is focused on individual. For example, children aid societies, child protection and child welfare always focused on children. For example, violence against women sector focus on women, right? While in collectivist culture, the family as is, how the services will fit. Because if you work with the children and you ignore working with the mother, or the parent or the father, you're missing a huge, whatever you work there is a piece missing. And also the collective identities of people and how those identities, if were interrupted and evolved, because even in the pre-migration, people have their own identities. During their journey, they might be lived in different countries, so their identity is impacting, and sometimes it changed its traits, so they have added pieces and how they interact with that. And within the post-migration, there is added parts of the identity and the sense of belonging. And even this will impact how people integrate, if they integrate smoothly or become insular and closed on themselves, and if they are out of that context. So these things would be the main things. And individualistic always is made for general public, regardless of who you are, your culture, your background, your ethnicity. While if you work with immigrant and you don't have the culturally informed lens, you are missing a lot. We have done different changes, for example, in the way the exercises is delivered. For example, there is an exercise about the identity. So this exercise would give fathers a way to look at the multiple layers of their identity, who they are, and how this identity evolved. Because sometimes fathers will tell you, we were fathers respected in our countries. We are here not fathers. Our children are fathers, are the parents. We cannot talk to children, right? So in this way, they felt that their fathering has been taken. They are a supportive father over a father. But then when you work with them on their identities, we extend it to see how they think of their identity, of their children's identity, so they can understand the uniqueness of the child. It's not an extension of the father or the family. The child is a unique creature who has their unique identities. They have the unique values, and even you would be listening to the fears and concerns that the fathers has about their children losing their identity or doing something that is against their cultural values or their religious belief, all these things. So within that, we are building the process to be then how's the child centered, because you are now separating. A father is a father as an entity, the child is a child and is unique. And then we will work, because in collectivist, there is a lot of values on the titles and what is that. So within that, when we describe fathers, we tell us what does that mean, a father. Not a good father or a bad father, but first, what is father? Tell us. And then sometimes you got them out of guard because they never thought of that. They are just fathering, right? So then you will be talking to them, and when they give those descriptions, you will start asking, is that a character that is part of your fathering, is it serving you or is focused on the child, right? So you are now starting to balance things and starting to build for them the understanding of how father-centered versus child-centered. And even the echo maps, the genograms that you see, it is not only the nuclear family. It is our focus, the nuclear family and the child who is the main focus of who was mainly abused, or the children. However, when we will be looking, we see some risk factors from outside. And those risk factors, we need to understand it, and we need to how to interplay with it. And that's how many of the exercises, many of the concepts, the goal will be still the same. We are serving the main universal caring that goals and objective. But how we deliver it, how we inject, how we work, is totally different. And it is very important to understand the cultural values, how culture interplay, how family dynamic interplay within cultures or within different culture. Because maybe if individual supports work for some family, other families from collectives, it will not work. You need to be working with individuals, but you need to be working with the family as a unit, because you don't want surprises. You want always to ensure safety. The program has enhanced safety of children and women, because when we work with father, we don't negate they are humans, and we work with them with humanity. So our work is focused on dismantling abusive actions, behaviors, attitude, patriarchal attitude, and the perspectives when they use culture, when they misuse culture and religion toward controlling women and children. So the father's engagement in the program and being heard and supported while held accountable and responsible for the safety of and well-being increased family safety. Because truly we understand and the value of caring that in our organization we have different teams. And for example, if some of the men would be disclosing something, after the session, we will address what is disclosed, but also we alert the clinical team to intervene the second day. And even the safety of women has been enhanced because the mother contact is not very short with us. We connect with them and we stay engaged if we are needed. And we do coordinated service intervention where many service providers come together to support the father and support, but in a different manner. Also, there is service providers coming together to support the mother and the children, which is not only ensures safety and well-being, but it's very empowering for women and the children. I'm adding for the safety and well-being, the enhancement, we have a post-caring dad support group for 3 months where bi-weekly men will come together to discuss how they are doing, support each other, and seek services if they are needed. And when the program is end, that does not mean our journey as an organization ends. With the family, we still, even if they are still separated and everyone in their own life, we support them till they are fully empowered and safe and working. The cultural adaptation of the caring dad has made the program more relatable to immigrant fathers' experiences and realities. It resonated with them, thus they feel trust and relevance. Like, for example, in many instances, the first session of the caring dad, they will ask, are we here because we are immigrant? We say no, because there is something happened in the family. And then they will say, but this program, how this program will be for us. So we say, yes, this is a very universal program. It has been delivered across the globe, but we felt we need to do the cultural adaptation, and it's culturally adapted to fit the collectivist communities, collectivist culture. And through the caring dad, you will see it will talk to you. And then we start introducing the other factors. So, for example, the cultural adaptation has created a space where fathers being heard and challenged about their abusive behavior. And also the main focus is always safety and well-being of women and children, and that will not be at all questioned in any manner. And they provided fathers to stay connected and not isolated, because usually when abuse happens, the father is isolated, the father is pushed, and there is different things. And this will escalate, would escalate risk. And that's why with the cultural adaptation, it gives an opportunity for fathers to be always connected. Even by working with fathers at risk of abusing, we provided a proactive intervention over responding to critical incidents of abuse, where all the system will become more involved and it become more critical. The program also took into consideration the mothers within a collective context. And as mothers, expert of their lives and their need and their experiences, it also provided an opportunity to engage mother and listen to their narrative with the humility and compassion and see where they are at. Are they still being abused after separation? Is the perpetrator finding different ways to reconnect with them? In many instances, those women were not connected to any services, so we were the first people to connect with them. They didn't understand what's their right, they didn't understand what's available with them, so we connected different connection. In some aspects, we needed to do risk assessment. We needed to heavily be involved with a woman and children in order to give them a safe space. For example, the Caring Dad program, it is culturally adapted for Arab fathers, but the essence of the cultural adaptation can be transferred and tweaked to other ethnicities, non-Arab fathers. So our hope is to transfer the Caring Dad to the other service providers, other places where service providers work with immigrant families and want to support the fathers who abuse their children. Also, we have a plan to train more facilitators to be culturally adapted, to work within the culturally adapted, but also to understand the cultural variation, the heterogeneity of the culture, and the richness of the world. Some of the challenges is finding sustainable funding. to continue delivering our program. It's always a hassle that we always need to look for funding to have our program running. Also, it is not per se a challenge, but it is a challenge for us as facilitator to be more attentive. So we need to be mindful of the diversity of fathers' background within the same group. For example, in one of the group, we have 3 fathers of the same country, but totally different interpretation of cultures, South and North. And we have another 2 fathers from another country, another 3 fathers from another country, also 2 fathers from different country. And we were excited that we have a variety, so we will see what will happen. So it always made us very attentive, extremely attentive, and paying attention to every single thing. And we always, when we are delivering the program, we needed to balance and adjust as we are going to adjust in order to meet all the cultural variation, all the, not from country to country, but also within the same country where the 3 fathers has totally different dialects even and different work. So this is mainly, it's a beautiful challenge because it will always make us reflect on what we are doing. And also we also have sometimes, it is a bit of challenge when we have a group that they wanted the program to be delivered in Arabic or fully in English, but the exercise they wanted in a different language. So we need to adjust those things because some of the immigrants, because second generation is different from newcomer, it's different from the foreign born. So all these factors we need to work in when we are recruiting a group and make it, it's not homogeneous, it will never be homogeneous, but at least to balance between the diverse fathers in the group. So this is some of the challenges. I will be sharing some quotes with you all. Like, for example, one time we called a mother, and it was the first time someone called her and spoke to her with her native language. And she said that it's been for a year, no one called her to ask what does she want or what is her needs. So, and this woman was still at risk, and we were referring her to different services, and also we worked with the school to make sure that she has the custody, but she didn't have the children. So we needed to rework different things. So this is one quote of a woman. Another quote from men is they stated that caring dad changed their lives. It raised the dad saying, changed my life, raised my awareness to be more focused on my children, revived my core cultural and family values. It built my fathering skills. It bridged the gap between me and my children. It enabled me to enjoy being a father. So different quotation, different fathers. Another father said, before attending Caring Dad program, I always thought that my wife has issues and making my life difficult. She wanted me to seek help, but I was resistant to the idea, and we attended a family program. The facilitator of the program suggested Caring Dad. I agreed, but not yet convinced. I attended, and being in the group was an eye-opening for me. I became to recognize that I'm the one who has issue, and my treatment to my wife and the mother of my children made our life difficult and created conflict. I recognized that my treatment was not respectful and harmful. Now I am more considerate to her needs, listen and support her, and became my loved partner, not only my wife. Another quote, I always believed that my wife is the problem, that she's not a good mother and or a wife. However, attending caring dad, I became aware that I have harmed her and my children a lot, and I hold myself responsible. And one father, I always love to share that story. One father, when he started to attend caring dad, he was doubtful of everything we say and tried to challenge the child development stages, all these things. However, when we start working with abuse and how the fathers, and we start talking to him to give us examples, and then slowly, towards the eighth, ninth session, he came to, after, on the 11th session, he came to the group and he said, something happened. So all the men, what happened with you? He said, for the first time in my life, my daughter said, I love you. And he cried in the room. He said that he never expected that, and he cried even and hugged his daughter, and he said that it was his first time to say I'm sorry for her, because, and that's how it was very powerful and also very inspiring to see someone who was in sole control of all his family and feeling that he's doing the right things. Suddenly he tried to change, and he said he was testing what he's learning just to see how much it will help or not help to come and challenge us. So it came that the daughter told him, you're changing, what's going on? And then that was happened. And still, I think it's been 5 years, he still come around just to say hello and with his daughters.